with me on vacation, just in case I
Cool.
needed something to read. I got the Kindle edition, and I
Nice.
took Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi with me. And we
Nice.
lost J.W. Rinsler, didn't we? Didn't he pass away
I imagine so.
within the past couple of years?
Yeah.
He was a super nice guy. Yeah, he died in 2021 in July.
Ah.
And he was doing other books too about like aliens, the movies Aliens and things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And Planet of the Apes.
Excuse me.
He loved movies and wrote really good books. If you haven't checked these books out, they're if you get them on Kindle or some other e-reader, they come with additional materials like videos and things like that. It's actually a really great series of books.
Yeah.
It looks like
See,
we're
that's
back.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I've
found it.
I've
There we
restarted
go.
us 3 or 4 times. I think I got it now. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Because
Yeah.
we've been up and then we've locked up and
Oh.
then we've not. So
Well, I mean, who knows? I could be looking at one of the times that we were up and then.
no, I think you got it right now.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. So we're gonna have like 5 videos across Facebook
Right,
that are all like really short.
right. Oh, and people are saying that they can see us and hear us
Yeah.
Yay.
on Twitch. Let's see.
Excuse me.
So,
What's this doing?
Yeah, our problem seems to have been in OBS, where it was locking up there for some reason that
Rude,
rude,
I
rude.
have not been able to identify.
The Art of Jedi Survivor coming out from Dark Horse.
Ooh.
Any?
Oh yeah. That looks pretty cool. I want to see I like the art of books basically just so I can see all the concept work that went into it and see what the thinking process might have been to what they got to the final product of. So that's really mostly what I want to see, and like the landscaping that they may have created like before and after kind of set, as it were.
Right. Nice. In an interview, Damon Lindelof calls his Star Wars script a labor of love. It is the upcoming new Jedi Order era film that will bring back Daisy Ridley as Rey for a sequel that takes place 15 years after the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Now, David Lindelof is kind of an interesting choice. It makes me wonder. He's writing it. He's not directing it, right?
He's not,
Well-
because he says the movie is still happening, but unfortunately not with me.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's no longer involved.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reason I feel like he might have been involved at the start, he used to work with J.J. Abrams quite a bit, and I was
Yeah.
wondering if J.J. Abrams was going to direct it.
He was the co-creator of Lost, so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
But he's got an incredible body of work of really clever and interesting shows. He was doing the Watchmen TV series for a while, but he's also a producer and a showrunner. So it would have been interesting to see him take on this new movie because they've got I feel just personally, they have a big task ahead of them because a lot of people were unhappy with the way the last trilogy ended. And so now they're going to have
Yeah.
to do, something bigger than that, I guess.
Well,
But
I'm of the belief that those last 3 were like placeholders, and we're going to get a whole new 3.
I think
That's my thought.
I don't know so much placeholders as much as they were let's make our money back right now that we spent on Star
Yeah.
Wars. So basically, they were used to sort of jumpstart everything. They knew
Yeah.
they were going to make a lot of money, and they figured they would be able to get really close to their 4.025, buying price on Star Wars.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right off the bat, because the TV stuff, as good as it is, doesn't really make any money. It's all about the movies, and so of course they're going to do more of those. David Lindelof also wrote Tomorrowland, and
Yeah.
Star Trek Into Darkness, but he did also write Cowboys and Aliens, which I don't think was a particularly good movie.
And that was a Favreau. What the
and
heck?
Prometheus he wrote, so
Oh, jeez.
which also not a particularly good movie. but he is credited with a Phineas and Ferb script.
Oh, well, you say there you go. At least
So-
you gotta have one out of three.
He's
you know.
right. He's got that going for him.
There are a couple of new Star Wars lo-fi videos that you can watch.
Yeah.
You can hang out with Cassian Andor at Niamos Beach, or you can hang out with Cal Kestis on the Stinger Mantis.
Cal Kestis, of course, just made a return in a new game
Yeah.
this week.
That- Yeah, that's what that book she was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Too.
This is the Andor beach version. This is apparently in the UK, this real location, and people are offering tours there now
Neat.
to go to it and like be on. What is it? Nemos? Is that the
Yeah.
planet?
I don't remember.
And then
Niamos.
yeah, and then for the one for Cal Kestis, and these are things we've talked about before. They just leave them on in the background, and they have
Yeah.
like sounds. I've got the sound turned off, but
Yeah.
it's this kind of
Yeah.
ambient.
Pretty cool.
I've got one of those little robots.
You do, and they're selling them at Disneyland now, and I
Oh.
think Disney World in half-size scale.
Oh, how fun.
They're adorable. I played with one last night, and you and I looked at one over at the Star Wars Outpost in downtown Disney. It was yellow, and
yeah.
and they have one that is in
Excuse me.
the BD1 colors, the white and red, and he's about half scale, and super cute, and very very fun. So it's very tempting to grab one of those guys.
There is a rumor that John Boyega has buried the hatchet with Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, at least
Yeah.
he didn't bury the hatchet in Kathleen Kennedy.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Having nothing to do with the relationship between John Boyega and Kathleen Kennedy, which I really know nothing about, just it sounds funnier to say, to change change it up. And today, as noted by a couple of people in the chat, today Carrie got her posthumous star on the Walk of Fame.
Right.
Yay.
If you don't know how that works, if somebody passes away and you want to get them a star on the Walk of Fame, there is a mandatory 5-year waiting list. And so it went a little longer than that, I think, because they wanted to put it on May the 4th. But Colleen told me, because I had completely missed this, that there was a little bit of weird family controversy from Billy Lord.
Yeah, and I
Oh.
don't know whether, we see things in media, so we never know for sure what's going on, but the headline from AV Club was, Billy Lord sets the record straight on Carrie Fisher's Walk of Fame ceremony. And in it, she explains why her aunts and uncle weren't invited to Carrie Fisher's Walk of Fame ceremony. And she goes on to say that Carrie's brother and sister chose to process their grief publicly and capitalize on my mother's death by doing multiple interviews and selling individual books for a lot of money, with my mom and my grandmother's death, says the subject. I found out that they had done this through the press. They never consulted me or considered how this would affect our relationship. The truth of my mom's very complicated relationship with her family is only known by me and those who are actually close to her. Though I recognize they have every right to do whatever they choose, their actions were very hurtful to me at the most difficult time in my life. I chose to and still chose to deal with her loss in a much different way. And she did not invite Todd Jolie or Trisha Lee Fisher to this ceremony today.
Right, and so that was a little weird.
Gotcha.
We have met Todd Fisher. We've talked to him. Colleen and I were fortunate enough to be at Carrie and Debbie's funeral, and I don't remember them doing anything particularly weird at the public funeral.
But I don't think that Billy was at the public funeral.
No, I don't think she was there.
So I think it was even that there was a public funeral was maybe something that she wasn't comfortable with.
But I mean, honestly, it was super cathartic, and there were a lot of
Yeah.
people there who were their friends. In one case, like Dan Aykroyd spoke. Dan Aykroyd had dated Carrie for a little while, and
Yeah.
apparently come very close to being engaged to her. And so he talked about things like that. That Debbie's dance company did a little performance, which was something she was super, super passionate about. I actually thought that it was really terrific. And I've been to a number of quote unquote kind of celebrity funerals. And honestly, the funerals are for people to work through their grief. And I thought it was great. I thought it was terrific what they did.
I think that it seems like, kind of reading between the lines here, that she wanted the whole process to be very private.
Yeah.
And they went public with what they were going through, and she didn't agree with that.
Yeah. And in the case of Todd Fisher, he wrote a book about who he lovingly calls his two girls, which is his mom and Carrie. We got the book. The book wasn't incendiary or anything.
And the book was written before they died.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something he was doing anyway.
Yeah.
I think it just coincided with the fact that she passed away. And honestly, he didn't really come out with the book until they did a memorial at the Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
And so that there had been some time there. It's just kind of weird. I was thinking about this today because back when Carrie Fisher passed away, we were lining up in front of the Chinese Theater for the next Star Wars movie, and some of the people in the line made a fake star on the Walk of Fame. And people came and they put flowers and tributes and all sorts of stuff there. They put some gold letters on an empty star. And, people kind of used that as ground zero for a little while because Debbie Reynolds had one, but Carrie didn't have one. While they were making Carrie's star this past week, these same people from the Lining Up group were stalking the poor guy who was building the star and bugging him. So they all have pictures like holding her nameplate that's going to be embedded in the thing. They wrote their names on the back of it and then had it embedded in the cement. Of course, you can't see it.
Interesting.
They know it's there, and the people on Facebook who read their posts know it's there. And the first thing I thought of was like, don't tell Billy, because she'll pull it out and replace it. It was really kind of strange, but I don't know. These things are always super touchy. Celebrity passings are frustrating, and for somebody like Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, both of them, who had very bright careers, very fiery careers, and they're known for Carrie for Star Wars and Debbie Reynolds for Singing in the Rain, and they're both very loved personages. And Debbie's old Hollywood and Carrie's newer Hollywood. With all of that kind of stuff going on, people have their attachments. People want a catharsis, and to just say, oh, they died, sorry, and go away. It's most of the public, I don't think, was going to stand for that. And I don't know. I feel I'm not going to say that Billy's wrong because she's going to feel how she's going to feel, but I don't have a problem with what they did that we've been able to see of all of that kind of stuff with how they handled their passing and what their memorial service was and things like that. So
well, as one of the people who benefited from the being able to go to some of those events, I was grateful that we were allowed to go to some of those events.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, same here. And I have a lot of really great memories of Carrie, and I have fewer of her mom, who I met under completely different circumstances. But just being able to sort of cleanse yourself of all of that was really cathartic. And so I don't know. I'm sad that there is strife because in all my interactions with Todd, he's just a nice guy, and he was just devoted to both of them. Right. So as far as I know, I don't know the backstory. I only know the public face. So awkward stuff.
Do not know.
Okay. Let's see.
Emily Swallow. Yeah.
wore her armor to a convention,
Yeah.
fan expo in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And there's some video here of her wearing the armor to meet fans.
And
Yeah.
I
Pretty
assume that she did it, you know, in disguise, quote unquote, because the
Yeah.
video basically just shows her kind of sashaying around and goofing off and meeting kids, and so I think the majority of people thought she was just a cosplayer
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the whole thing. We've seen Adam
Yeah.
Savage do this. We've seen
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe wear a Boba Fett costume so he could be sneaky in the background.
Yeah.
But
But you know,
my favorite one. Do you remember? What's his name? Who plays in Breaking Bad?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston wore a Bryan Cranston mask
Yes.
and wandered around the floor as his character. Yeah, with this silicone mask over his real face,
That's funny.
which was great. And then when he walked onto stage to do the panel at Comic-Con, and he pulled off the mask Scooby-Doo style to show that it was really him underneath it. And it was pretty
So
great.
cool.
So
That's
I love when
awesome.
people do so.
Emily did the same with this too. She took near the end of the day. She took her helmet off.
Took the
and
helmet off
People,
and-
people all
Oh,
freaked.
cool.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my God! That's awesome.
We have something that says the wonders of Star Wars, the wonder of Star Wars at the parks. And does anybody know what this is about?
Yeah, this is sort of part of the Disney 100 celebration. It's a list of the
New stuff to
interesting things that they're offering for sort of the month of May for Star Wars. Disney has decided that all of May is Star Wars month. And so we've got some new lightsaber stands that are kind of meant to be used with the Savis things that you can put kyber crystals in. There's a voice changer Mandalorian mask. There's some new T-shirts that they're offering. Some high-end watches that are pretty nice. Lego kits and Funko Pops and Pez dispensers. All the usual kind of stuff. And then there's a 3 paperback High Republic box set that you can get where Claudia Gray and Justina Ireland and Daniel Rose Holder have their books in this collection. Basically all sorts of stuff. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, when Colleen and I and our friends have gone to different places where we need to kill some time in line, we will bring with us sometimes the stack of Trivial Pursuit Star Wars cards.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to answer the questions because I know the answers to everything. But
Gosh, I wonder why.
so I'll sort of Alex Trebek these questions, and we'll just do these little quizzes. And so they have something that is called conversation cards. And it's
see that,
125 cards in a box that asks you questions that you can then discuss. Like, if you could have one force ability in real life, what would you pick, and what would you do with it? Or would you rather face 10 Porg-sized space slugs or a space slug-sized Porg? You know, so they get a little silly, but it reminds me of what we do with those Trivial Pursuit cards. It's kind of a fun thing. And then, of course, there's all the characters in the parks and things. And it mentioned that it gets a little desperate at the end of the article, where it's like the Galactic Star Cruiser, you could go there, and the Hyperspace Lounge on the Disney Cruise Line. And then they're like, Hyperspace Mountain has been installed at Disneyland Paris for Space Mountain, and the Star Tours at Tokyo Disney Resort. Nothing has changed. They're just saying you should go on it. So it gets a little weird by the end of it. But
That's funny.
there's a lot of stuff that they're offering for May the 4th. Stuff that started showing up yesterday and today. One of the things that's kind of interesting about the things that I mentioned, like the lightsaber stand, seems to be in direct response to things that fans are making, where they've been making their own lightsaber stands with these kyber crystal sockets in them.
Yeah.
And this seems like much like the phone case mods and things that they were doing, or like them coming up with merch for Life Day. It's like,
yeah.
the fans are doing this. I think we can make money off of it. And so a lot of this stuff seems to be in direct response to that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, is their prerogative. They own it. But it's kind of funny.
Bill Hader tells what it means to be BB-8's voice consultant, and also why he won't sign BB-8 merchandise anymore. I only read the BB-8 not signing the merchandise anymore, which referred to the meaning of being a voice consultant, which was that he was brought on to be a voice consultant and it didn't work out.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like stuff that he like did voice for stuff that didn't work, and then they brought him in and says, "Hey, you want to do this?" It was a talk box thing, and they did that. And the reason he didn't get to come back was anybody can do it because it's a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
so he's like,
somebody brought him BB-8 merchandise to sign, and it turned out he like overheard them talking, and it was a little kid, and it was like 2 a.m.
Oh.
And the parent decided that he would be more likely to sign things for a little kid than for an adult, so that the dad could sell it in his store.
Yeah.
And so he kept the kid up really late. So he said that I'm not signing anything ever again for Star Wars.
Well, and there's a thing with people who sign autographs that gets really dodgy, where the people who are collecting autographs push it too far. And sometimes it's like they have too many things that they want signed. They like 5 or 6 or 10 things. And then other times they try to slip things in. Like Scarlett Johansson and Jennifer Lawrence are always in trouble because people try to slip in fake nude pictures to get them to sign it. Super scummy. And the minute one person does it, they're done. They ruin it for everybody. They're like, okay, you just screwed it up for everybody. And they're out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Bill should do what Mark does. Just personalize it.
Right.
Right.
But even then, you don't want some guy when we
Probably Mark doesn't have as many people trying to do nudes of him.
Yeah, well, that's true.
No, but I mean, for Bill. I mean, like in regards to Bill. Yeah.
When we did the Jules Verne Adventure Film Festival and people were signing autographs, we were told specifically as stormtroopers for the event not to get anything autographed. So what the guys did is with their +1s, they had their +1s dress all sexy, and they sent them with action figures up to do it. And like Harrison Ford didn't really care. He was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But you got to be careful with stuff like that. You don't want to be rude to people, and you don't want to take advantage. So
true.
But Bill Hader, the whole way they did BB-8 with they were talking through an iPad. And modulating. I thought it was very clever. I didn't know that they didn't use his stuff.
They may have used. They didn't use the original. That he went in and did stuff that was his voice.
Yeah.
Which they didn't use. They went, that didn't really work, and so they got a machine that would modulate a person's voice.
Okay.
And he did that, which they did use.
Oh, okay.
But then when they went to do it again, they're like, we don't need to pay a celebrity to do this.
We could just have anybody do it.
We can have the PA do it.
Yeah, because I know that there were 2 people who did it.
Yeah.
I have no clue who the other guy is, though, because I only remember Bill Hader.
Right.
That's fine.
Somebody put out a fan trailer that is completely adorable, and I want to see this movie. It is the Star Wars by Wes Anderson trailer called The Galactic Menagerie, a Star Wars story.
It was super cute.
It is super cute, and I totally want to see this movie now.
They got the style right. It's like everything's perfectly flat, and the design is like just off from Star Wars that you can recognize everything. But like the TIE fighters are all pastel colors and stuff, and the Ewoks just look like bears. And it's funny. I get the feeling they used a lot of like AI to do this.
Oh, I think it was. My understanding was that it was a ton of AI.
It was all AI.
The funny thing is that when they are listing the celebrities that are in it,
yes,
Bill Murray is not Bill Murray. Like, they didn't even attempt to do Bill Murray. It was another one of the usual actors that Wes Anderson uses.
That's funny.
It was
Gotcha.
they have him, and then sorry, it's going to come up here in a second. I'm running through it again.
I remember that Owen Wilson was supposed to be
Vader.
Darth Vader, although
Yeah.
they have a guy as Timothy Chalamet who looks more like Owen Wilson than Timothy Chalamet.
Right, so Edward Norton. Okay, so Edward Norton is playing Bill Murray, I think, in this. They've used an Edward Norton image and credited it as Bill Murray.
Oh, I can tell it's supposed to be Bill Murray.
Oh, really?
As
It looked like
Obi-Wan.
Edward Norton to me.
The problem is that he looks too young,
Uh,
and everybody looks almost like themselves, and so it's like Willem Dafoe looks pretty much like Willem Dafoe as Grand Moff Tarkin, but not quite.
yeah.
And Adrian Brody is Chewbacca.
So,
awesome.
Sean and I, when we were in Tokyo, something that we heard this in Tokyo, was that there were these Tokyo banana treats
Oh, I forgot about these.
that are like internet famous. And
Yeah.
we're all,
I have never
Never
heard
heard
of
of
these
these.
things ever.
But then we saw them for sale in the airport, so we bought some. And we were going to try them on the air. Jeff, I'm sorry that we weren't able to Willy Wonka vision you
right.
Man, what
one
the
of
hell?
these things.
Although I will say, if it helps, first off, we have little souvenirs for you that we will get to you the next time we see you. And secondly, I think we have some like Kit Kat snacks and stuff for you too.
Oh, okay.
so.
I think the bananas would be really small anyway by the time they got through the machine to me. So
Right.
Okay.
Well, and the problem with this is that these things actually have an expiration date on them
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
of just a couple of days. It's
right. They expire early
They
next
expire
week.
between my and Colleen's birthday.
Oh wow.
Oh, we should probably show.
So this is what it is. This is the package.
Okay, and I've got it almost out of the package.
And it's kind of like a Twinkie.
This is
I almost
out
need
of the package.
scissors to get into this thing.
It's
And
yeah,
here,
it was hard to get into.
I have scissors. Ta-da.
and it's
It does
very banana-y.
It does smell like banana.
Mhm.
And it does it's like really soft sponge in that Twinkie kind of way.
Yeah, it's basically a banana Twinkie.
But the only place we ever saw these were the airport. And so it's like a big touristy snack kind of thing that I didn't see anywhere
Cool.
else. And I'd never heard of this.
Huh.
So it's like a Twinkie filled with banana pudding.
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Weird, but hey.
Yeah. So this is
All right, so
that's the
we have
inside.
had the internet famous food, and it is way better than the I hadn't heard of it before natto that everybody else seems to know about but me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Because when I said I tried natto, everybody started laughing at me.
I'd never heard of that either. So,
Yeah,
but apparently everybody else knew to stay away.
right.
Yeah.
Because they were clever that way.
I will say
Oh, Steve.
that I don't feel bad that we don't have like a ton more of these bananas.
Oh no,
My-
they're not great.
My fear with anything that we brought back as a snack was that we would absolutely love it and not have bought enough of it.
Right.
But these are just okay.
Yeah, they're
Cool.
fine.
We
they're
can
not.
we can say we did them.
Yeah.
Hiya, Steven. And Mel is on too. And Ed.
Hey,
But yeah.
Woohoo.
Steve Kasoy.
we were talking about
Cool.
Mella's hats earlier.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have almost 10 minutes. So I guess we
Yeah.
can finish up the Star Wars section.
As well, at least part of it, because I don't think in 10 minutes we even finished it up.
Did anybody
Only
watch
three
the
left.
Disney Plus's May the 4th ad?
Yes.
Tell
Yeah.
us about it, Jeff.
Yeah, and it, I mean, it really, it pulls on all your nostalgia strings, basically, through the entire thing. So, even has Rebels in it, which made me really happy, but
Right.
Wow.
yeah.
And it comes from like everything they've ever put out. There's a little something in there going, isn't Star Trek, or is Star Trek, isn't Star Wars absolutely amazing?
Spock.
Yeah. So, and Disney has been like kind of on it like right now. So like they just had a screening, which I'm sorry I missed because I got an invite through SAG to go see a screening of the 3 what are they, the Narkina episodes of Andor, basically the jailbreak, prison break episodes. They showed those in a big screen at the studio. I got an invite. I'm sorry I didn't see that while we were on vacation because it would have been good to get a couple of us there. And Andy Serkis was actually there presenting and talking.
Nice.
And it kind of
Yeah,
would have been fun to get Colleen over there and see if he remembered working with her over at her work.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't.
I don't know. You spent like 3 weeks working on that thing.
Right.
But so that was good. And then, of course, Return of the Jedi is in theaters right now. And I guess we have a note here that says it topped the box office for this weekend.
Yeah, that's what the
Return of the
article
Jedi.
says.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Admiral Akbar surrounded by money. It's very funny.
Yay!
It took in $4.69 million from 475 screens.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
pretty
it
decent.
now has $479 million globally through its various re-releases.
Cool. Yeah, it was one of those things I thought would be interesting to go do. We've just been so tired, and we're still jet
Yeah, I
lagged.
know.
And like, I feel like such a slacker today because it's like May the 4th, and the only thing I did was go get coffee before the show. I didn't go out and do any charity stuff. I didn't go to Carrie's Star thing.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends who went today. I'm like, I didn't do it. Although, I had my radio show in the morning, and it was nice to
Yeah.
do that live instead of a recording. So
Yeah, that's true.
Do we want to save the Mando discussion for next week?
yeah, let's when we can do a little more time with it, and I think we need to refresh ourselves on it a little bit. It's been a little distant, but yeah, we didn't review the last 2 episodes of it, and in fact, Mando ended while we were on vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
We
which
saw it
was
when we
nuts.
got back.
It's unrelated, but something that's related to us here on the show. The Goldbergs ended last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
Their final episode was last night.
wow.
So we're very behind in watching the Goldbergs,
Yeah.
but be interesting
Yeah,
to see how they
maybe
wrap
not.
up that series after 10 seasons. So
Yikes. All right, well, we'll come back and still cover. There's a ton of stuff that we need to cover from the time when we were gone, and we'll go through and winnow down this list so that we
Yeah, I
just
know.
hit the high
Yeah.
notes.
yeah,
Of,
and there's almost like 20 trailers
yeah.
that
Yeah, it's nuts.
most of which we watched before the show that we're like not even getting to,
Right.
that kind of thing. And we still have more to talk about. The theme parks over in Tokyo.
Yep.
Theme parks here, though, kind of really interesting. Their turnstiles broke at Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah, which was kind of interesting and complicated stuff. Of course, that pales in comparison to the fact that their phantasmic dragon burned to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Yep. El Scorcho. It was like something basically faulty inside.
Yeah.
And they got number 2 in there.
so they had to. Well, the dragon is called Murphy because something always goes wrong
Yeah.
with Murphy, and
So
yeah,
people were only a few people were taken for smoke inhalation,
Mhm.
but that's about it. No one.
Yeah,
no
I
one
heard
really
nobody was seriously injured, and
Yeah.
they put the fire out, and they have a spare dragon that they can throw in, which was like the original dragon was just a head with cloth wings dangling, and I think that's
Yeah.
what we're going back to till they can replace it
Yeah.
with another one. And the turnstile thing that I mentioned, basically there was about like a half hour to an hour when people could not get into the park because their turnstile thing went down, which, for Disney, kind of a big deal.
Weird.
Like, how are we going to make money if we can't let people in the park?
Right. You want to wrap us out, Sean?
Yeah, I guess so. Thanks for sticking with us for the weird technical difficulties
Yay.
that we had. We're glad to be back after 2 weeks, but apparently our computers are equally as tired as we are, and they're not really doing this kind of stuff. So, but we are glad to be back, and thanks for basically listening to the show equivalent of our vacation slides. If for some reason you want to see more of any of those things, my Facebook page is public, and I'm putting
Yeah.
up pictures by day. I'm many
Nice.
days behind. I'm like a week and many days behind in putting these up. But if you go find Sean Crosby on Facebook, you can see my pictures without having to friend me or anything like that. I have nothing to hide. But lots of pictures, a very interesting trip, and I'm glad to answer questions about any of that. If you have them on Facebook, just leave a comment. I'll try to get to it. Fun trip, wiped out.
Yeah.
Think happy
imagine.
thoughts for Colleen and I to catch up on sleep.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. In the meantime, don't forget that this Saturday is Free Comic Book Day. So if you're a
Yep.
huge comic book fan, you will want to go and check that out at your local comic shop. Usually they have 4 or 5 different comic books that they give away for free. Special events going on. Jeff and I know Mella's out in Oregon, and I don't know if she's a comic book person, but when Jeff and I were in Oregon around
Yeah.
Free Comic Book Day, we went to a little shop and picked up some comics and checked them out,
Yeah.
and it was kind of fun.
And they had a bunch of artists too there.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
was in
artist
Salem, which was pretty great. And so anywhere you are, any comic book store near you, you can probably find something super cool. Beyond that, we will do this again next week. Now that we are back, yay! I'll be on the air tomorrow for Good Morning Tatooine at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, so we can wrap out the week. If you want to do that with me on sci-fi.radio, check that out. Lots of news stories up there and stuff too, trailers and things. So do that.
I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
This is Jeff Soledadaho.
And I am Sean Crosby, as always. May
May the
Force
force be with you.
And I'll give you guys some credits here, just because I can do that. Bye, TV video people. We will see all y'all later on.